Deep in the heart of the woods, there lived a monster unlike any other. The villagers called him the Woodsman, a name that struck fear into the hearts of all who heard it. He was said to be a towering, hulking creature, with skin as rough as bark and eyes that glowed like fire in the darkness. No one knew where the Woodsman came from or what he wanted. But one thing was for certain, he was not to be trifled with. The villagers had learned this lesson the hard way, as the Woodsman had been known to snatch up unsuspecting travelers who were never seen again. The villagers had lived in fear of the Woodsman for as long as anyone could remember. They had heard stories passed down from generation to generation about the monster's unquenchable thirst for human blood and its ability to move through the woods with stealth and speed. They knew that anyone who ventured into the woods alone was risking their life. Despite the warnings and the stories, one day, a brave young man named Jack decided he would be the one to put an end to the Woodsman's reign of terror. He had grown tired of living in fear and had heard stories of a great treasure hidden deep in the woods. Jack believed that if he could defeat the Woodsman, he would be able to claim the treasure as his own. Armed with nothing but a hunting knife and his courage, Jack ventured into the woods, determined to find and defeat the monster. As he walked deeper into the woods, the trees grew thicker and the underbrush grew denser. The air grew colder, and a sense of unease settled over Jack like a cloak. He could feel the Woodsman's eyes upon him, watching his every move. The villagers had warned him about this. They had said that the Woodsman could sense fear and that it was attracted to it. Jack tried to shake off the feeling, but it was hard to ignore. He knew he had to be careful. He couldn't let the monster smell the fear on him. After hours of walking, Jack finally reached the clearing, and there, in the center of the clearing, stood the Woodsman. Jack's heart raced as he stared up at the monster, towering over him, but he knew he had to be brave. He stepped forward, knife at the ready. The Woodsman let out a deafening roar and lunged back at Jack, but Jack was quick, and he dodged the monster's attack. The Woodsman swung again and again, but Jack was too fast. He had been trained in the art of hunting, and he knew how to move through the woods with stealth and speed. Jack realized that the Woodsman was not as invincible as the villagers had made it out to be. For what seemed like hours, Jack and the Woodsman engaged in a fierce battle. Jack had to use all of his skills to avoid the monster's attacks and land his own. He had to be careful not to let the monster get too close, for it had razor-sharp claws that could tear through flesh like butter. Finally, with a desperate cry, Jack plunged his knife into the Woodsman's heart. The monster let out a final roar and fell to the ground dead. Jack breathed a sigh of relief, but his relief was short-lived, for as the Woodsman lay dying, he placed a curse upon Jack, a curse that would follow him for the rest of his days. From that day on, Jack was plagued by nightmares and terrifying visions. He could never shake the feeling that the Woodsman was still watching him, waiting for his chance to strike. He would dream of the monster chasing him through the woods, its eyes glowing with hatred and its claws reaching out to grab him. He would wake in a cold sweat, his heart racing and his body trembling. Jack also began to notice strange occurrences happening around him. Objects would move on their own, doors would slam shut, and he would hear whispering in the dead of night. He knew it was the curse of the Woodsman coming to life. The villagers saw the change in him, and they knew what had happened. They warned him that the curse would consume him if he didn't do something about it. Jack realized that he had to break the curse before it was too late. He remembered hearing stories of a powerful witch that lived deep in the woods, who was said to have the power to break any curse. Jack knew he had to find her and ask for her help. He set out into the woods once more, this time with a different purpose. The journey was much harder this time, as the curse had weakened him both physically and mentally. He had to push himself harder than ever before to reach the witch's cabin. When he finally found the cabin, the witch was waiting for him. She told him that she had been expecting him and that she knew what he had come for. She warned him that breaking the curse would not be easy, and that would require a great sacrifice. But Jack was willing to do whatever it took to break the curse and live a normal life again. The witch performed a ritual, and as she did, the cabin was filled with a thick mist. Jack could feel the curse breaking, and his heart felt a weight lifted off his shoulders. The witch told him that the curse was broken, but the woodsman's spirit would always be with him, watching over him. Jack returned to the village, a changed man. He no longer feared the woodsman, and the villagers could see it in his eyes. He had broken the curse, and he had proven that even the most terrifying monsters could be defeated with courage and determination. But as he settled back into his normal life, he began to realize that the price he had to pay for breaking the curse had taken a toll on him, not only physically but also emotionally. He had developed a severe form of PTSD, and he had become paranoid, constantly looking over his shoulder, thinking that the woodsman was still out to get him. He knew he had to do something about it, and he decided to not pursue the treasure. Instead, he dedicated his life to warning others about the woodsman's curse, and teaching them how to protect themselves as well as how to cope with the after effects of breaking a curse. The villagers never forgot the young man who had defeated the woodsman, and his story was passed down through generations, a reminder that even the most terrifying monsters can be defeated with courage and determination.